We planned a family reunion at your beach house. 47 people for 4 days. My sister texted back in May, "Stock the fridge by Friday." I was at the kitchen island, still wearing scrubs that smelled faintly of antiseptic and hospital coffee. My daughter was half asleep on the couch, her Switch slipping from her hands, one sock already kicked off. No one had asked me, not once. No, "Hey Bella, is that weekend free?" No, "Would that be okay with Ethan and Milo?" Just a declaration, like I was the front desk clerk at a property they'd already decided belonged to them. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. I typed "no," watched the little typing bubbles appear, vanish, reappear. Then her response lit up the screen. "We're coming anyway. What are you gonna do? Call the HOA?" I didn't answer. I turned the phone face down and focused on the lasagna I'd grabbed on the drive home, sliding it into the oven like I could slide this whole situation out of sight. Milo patted over in her socks, hair rumpled, eyes still heavy with sleep. She looked up at me with that soft, searching expression she gets when she senses something's off. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Yeah, kiddo." I forced a smile. "Just family stuff." She nodded slowly, like that explanation had been handed to her before, like she knew it meant something bigger, but also that she wasn't supposed to press. "I'm Bella, 42, a neurosurgeon in Jacksonville, Florida, married to Ethan. Stepdad, no, just mom as far as I'm concerned, to Milo, who's 11. I've been there since she was 3 years old. I made it official when she was 5. Her biological mother drifted out of the picture long before I ever stepped in. My family lives about an hour inland in a town where being a doctor doesn't mean impressive, it means available, it means open wallet, it means you owe us. My parents raised 3 of us, me first, then my brother Mark, then my sister Paige. I'm the oldest and the only one who built a life somewhere else. When my career finally started paying off, I did what I thought the responsible oldest daughter does. I stepped in. I wiped out my parents' credit card balance in one transfer. $14,200 disappeared from my account like it was nothing. I paid 7 straight years of their rising property taxes because every time the county reassessed, my mom would call crying, "Bella, we can't keep up." I set up a $1,000 automatic transfer every month into a joint account in my mother's name, so groceries would never be a stressor. I co-signed Mark's truck because his credit was shot. I handed Paige $20,000 for a down payment when her husband's business collapsed and they were about to lose their rental. When my parents' AC unit died in the middle of a brutal July heatwave, I replaced the entire system without blinking. When hurricanes tore through, I bought generators, covered plywood, paid for hotel stays when the power grid failed. And 5 years ago, when my income moved from comfortable to absurd, when the numbers started looking like something out of someone else's life, I bought the beach house. 3 bedrooms, 2 bunk rooms, a wide deck that wraps around with a clean view of the ocean. Not some mega mansion, just a place by the water. But to my family, it became something mythical. "This is all of ours," my mom said the first time she stepped onto the deck and looked out at the waves. "Not yours, ours." I should have heard the warning in that. From then on, they called it the family house. They'd text Ethan like he was scheduling reservations. "We're taking the 2nd week of June," not asking if it was free, just stating it. They left sand clogging the drains, sticky rings of beer on the wood tables, a cracked TV they swore had already been like that. I paid for professional deep cleans and repairs without argument. I told myself money was meant to ease burdens. I told myself I could absorb the cost. What I couldn't ignore was how they treated Milo. She's not timid, just deliberate, thoughtful. She devours thick fantasy novels and fills entire notebooks with elaborate cityscapes from her imagination. Loud rooms overwhelm her. Chaos rattles her. My parents never came out and said it, but it was clear. Mark's and Paige's kids were the real grandkids. Milo was always an asterisk. At Christmas, the other stockings had names stitched in cursive. Milo got a plain red one from a multi-pack. In group photos, someone would forget to call her over. At my dad's 70th birthday party, my mom introduced the grandkids to her church friends as my 3 from Mark, my 2 from Paige, and this is Milo. She's Bella's step. She hesitated just enough to make it sting. I excused it for years, blamed it on generational blind spots, told myself time would fix it. I believed that right up until last 4th of July. I'd arranged everything. I rarely get a full weekend off call, and I'd even shifted a complex brain tumor resection to a colleague to make it happen. I rented a pontoon boat and 2 jet skis so the kids would have something to remember. That morning, I got stuck on a call about a post-op complication. By the time I reached the dock, everyone was already climbing on board. Neon life jackets, coolers, a country playlist blaring from a speaker. Except Milo. She was sitting at the very edge of the pier, towel folded beneath her, sketchbook in her lap. "Hey," I said, crouching beside her. "You're not coming?" She shrugged without meeting my eyes. "They said there isn't space." I looked at the boat. There was room, more than enough. I counted heads. 14. My sister caught my stare. "We're at capacity, Bella. Coast Guard says 18 max." I did the math again. There was still space. I stepped closer. "She can sit up front with me." Paige's husband cut in quickly. "We already balanced the weight. It's not safe to reshuffle." My dad raised his beer and grinned. "You two take a jet ski later. Girls' time. Let the cousins enjoy." The cousins. As if Milo wasn't one. Behind me, she whispered, "It's okay, I'll stay. I get seasick anyway." She doesn't. She loves the water. One of Paige's kids muttered, "She's not even a real cousin." Not quietly. Everyone heard. No one corrected it. My fists tightened so hard my hands shook. The same adrenaline I feel in surgery surged through me. I should have stopped it, should have shut the whole thing down. Instead, I swallowed it again. "Text me if you want me," I told her. "We'll get ice cream later." She nodded. The boat pulled away, music blasting, laughter carrying over the water. Milo sat there until they were tiny shapes in the distance. Then she opened her sketchbook and started drawing alone. That night, under fireworks, she handed me a picture. The boat, the sky exploding with color, stick figures clustered together. Off to the side, on the dock, a smaller figure alone, shaded darker. "That's me," she said. "It's fine. Sometimes side characters are more interesting." Side character. I nearly broke. Things shifted after I started saying no. The first major one was when my parents wanted an RV. $60,000 they didn't have. They assumed I would cover it. When I refused, my dad ignored me for weeks. My mom told Ethan I'd changed. Paige joked about us saving for another non-blood child. Mark said nothing but still benefited from my money. The second no came when Paige sent me a 12-page bakery proposal with investor next to my name. She wanted $100,000. I offered to pay for a real accountant to review her numbers, but I wouldn't bankroll it. After that, she barely acknowledged Milo at family events. So when the reunion message came, it wasn't shocking. They'd already created a Facebook event. Family Beach Bash in glittery font. My house as the cover photo. Location tagged as Bella's Beach House, our family place. 47 guests. Church friends, co-workers, Mark's buddies. No mention of Ethan or Milo except a small host tag under my name. I scrolled through threads assigning bunk beds and planning fireworks. Then I saw Paige's comment. "Don't worry about Milo. She's sensitive. Probably better if she stays with Ethan's parents. They hate the beach anyway." My mom reacted with a heart. Someone asked if Milo was coming at all. Paige wrote, "We'll invite her for a day trip, of course, but overnights are for the real cousins." The real cousins. I stared at that for a long time, heart pounding in my ears. I screenshotted it, but didn't show Ethan yet. I needed to think clearly. I sent that simple no. Got laughing emojis in return. I called my mom. "Hey," I said, "I saw the reunion post. You didn't check with me." "Oh, honey, we knew you'd say yes," she laughed. "You never use it in August." Ethan and Milo and I were planning to. I said it even though we hadn't set dates. And 47 people exceeds occupancy. HOA rules. "Don't start with rules," she snapped. "You're always so rigid. It's family." I took a breath. I also saw what was said about Milo. Silence on the other end. "Those were jokes," she said finally. "You know how Paige is. Don't be so sensitive." "Milo is different. She doesn't really enjoy all that noise. We're trying to spare her." "You mean you don't want to adjust anything for her?" "We're not doing this," she said sharply. "Either let us use the house or don't, but don't twist it around and make us villains. You're the one hoarding your blessings." Hoarding? That was rich. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. I sat there at the kitchen table looking at my calendar app, the photo of my house as a tiny thumbnail, and a screenshot of that real cousin's comment. Something in me clicked. I had spent years cutting open skulls, delicately moving around the parts of the brain that controls speech, memory, movement. I hold people's lives in my hands for hours at a time, and somehow I still let my family treat my daughter like a side character in a life I was working myself to the bone to provide. That was the last straw. On Friday morning, the day of their big family beach bash, I changed the gate code and hired security. Not in a dramatic movie way, in phone calls, login, and confirmation emails. First, I called the property management company for the community. "Hey, this is Dr. Bella Carter, Unit 12B, I said. "I'd like to update my access list for the gate and request on-site security for the weekend." The woman on the line perked up immediately. "Of course, Dr. Carter. What are we adjusting?" "Remove all existing recurring guest passes," I said, "especially anything under the last names Carter, Lewis, or Hill. Those were my parents, Paige, and Mark's surnames." "All removed," she said after a few clicks. "Current guest list is now empty." "Good. And I'd like a guard at the gate from noon to 8 today and tomorrow. No one enters my property unless their name's on a list I'll email. No exceptions." I emailed her a short list. Bella Carter, Ethan Carter, Milo Carter. 3 names. That was it. Next, I logged into the app for the smart lock on the house itself and reset every code. The one my mom used, the one I gave my brother for emergencies, the generic one I'd kept for contractors and cleaners. Gone. New code only Ethan, Milo, and I knew. Then I opened my banking app and went to the family card I'd set up 3 years ago, the one my parents used for gas and emergencies, and that Mark and Paige had borrowed for groceries more than once. Balance, $1,982.64. All recent charges at Costco, Walmart, and a firework outlet 3 towns over. I transferred the entire remaining balance to my main account and hit the button to freeze the card. "Are you sure?" the app asked. I was never more sure. Yes. Lastly, I called the local security company I use for the house alarm. "Hi, this is Dr. Carter. I have a large group planning to enter my property today without my consent. I've arranged gate control, but I'd like one of your people stationed near my driveway entrance for a few hours as a deterrent." The man on the phone was unfazed. "No problem. We'll have someone there by 11:30. You expecting trouble?" "Just a lot of entitlement," I said. He laughed. "We see that more than break-ins, honestly." By the time Milo came downstairs in a Spider-Man t-shirt looking for cereal, everything was set. "Are we still going to the beach this weekend?" she asked cautiously. "We are," I said. "Just us. Maybe Aunt Leah and the twins if they want to join." Leah is my cousin, the only member of my extended family who ever texts me just to ask how Milo's doing, not for money. "What about Grandma and everyone?" Milo asked. "They made other plans," I said, "and we made different ones." She studied my face for a second, then nodded. "Okay." We loaded up the car. Ethan kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror as we drove. "You good?" he asked quietly when Milo put her headphones on. "I think I'm done," I said. Done being their wallet, done begging them to see our kid. Ethan reached over and squeezed my hand. "Then let's be done." We were already at the beach house, unpacked and barefoot, when the first SUV pulled up to the gate. I saw it on the security app on my phone. The gate camera showed my parents' white SUV, Paige's minivan behind them, a couple of trucks further back, coolers stacked, inflatable paddle boards roped to roofs, kids pressed up against windows. My sister called me immediately. I let it go to voicemail. A moment later, a different number popped up. The gatehouse. "Dr. Carter?" The guard's voice crackled through. "We have a group here insisting they have permission to access your property. They're upset." "I'm sure they are. Their names are not on the list. They do not have permission." "Understood, ma'am. One of them is demanding to speak to you?
Put her on speaker if you want, I said, but my answer isn't changing. There was a shuffle. Then Paige's voice came through, tiny and furious. Are you kidding me right now? She snapped. The gate guy says we're not on the list. It's our reunion, Bella. No, I said calmly. It's your reunion at my house that you planned without asking. Stop being dramatic, she said. We drove all this way. The kids are excited. Open the gate and we'll talk about whatever you're mad about inside. No, I repeated. The house is not available. You need to turn around. In the background, I heard my mom. What is she saying? Is she opening it? Paige's voice dropped lower, tighter. You're really going to pull this because of a stupid Facebook comment? Milo isn't even a beach kid. She hates sand. You're doing this to punish us. I looked out at the deck, where Milo was building a small fort with beach towels and chairs, humming, completely unaware of the standoff at the gate. You told 47 people you were spending 4 days in a house you don't own. I said you booked time off work. You bought food. You did all of that without checking with me. And then you planned to exclude my daughter from her own home. We said she could come for the day, Paige shot back. You're twisting this. You're making everything about her. She lives here, I said. You treat her like an afterthought. I'm not hosting a family that doesn't host my kid. My dad's voice cut in, loud and slurred with anger, even over the phone. We raised you, he barked. We wiped your backside, and this is how you repay us? Leaving us on the street like dogs? You think you're better than us with your big brain job and your fancy house? I could picture his face, red and pinched, veins popping in his neck. I'd seen that look my whole childhood. I don't think I'm better, I said, but I am done. I'm not your backup bank. I'm not your beach house. I'm your daughter, and Milo is your granddaughter. If you can't handle that, you don't get access to anything that's mine. For a second, there was nothing, just the faint sound of waves behind me and some kid crying in one of the cars on the other end. Then my mom started sobbing. You're tearing this family apart, she wailed. Over money? Over that girl? Blood is blood, Bella. You don't just cut off your parents. You did that when you decided she wasn't really yours, I said, and hung up. The guard called me back 2 minutes later. They're insisting they have some kind of claim, he said carefully. I've told them multiple times they don't. I can call local PD if they refuse to leave. If they're not gone in 10 minutes, do it, I said. I'm sorry you're stuck in the middle. He chuckled. I've seen worse, but I have to say, ma'am, you're handling this more calmly than most. He didn't see my hands shaking. Milo wandered over, flopping onto the outdoor couch next to me. Can I put my hammock up? She asked. The one Grandma said was a fire hazard. I swallowed a laugh. Yeah, kiddo, put it wherever you want. On my phone, the tiny figures in the camera feed argued with the guard, milled around, then finally turned their cars one by one and drove away. The convoy disappeared down the road. The gate slid shut. I dropped my shoulders for what felt like the first time in years. The next 24 hours were a storm of buzzing phones, texts from my mother. I can't believe you did this. We're sitting in a Motel 6 because of you. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Then the guilt trips. We already bought all the food. Think of the kids. You ruined their summer. Milo will be fine. She won't even remember. My father's texts were shorter, harsher. We owe you after everything we did. Enjoy your precious house. You'll die alone in it. Paige went nuclear in the family group chat. Bella locked us out of our house over her trauma child. You all saw it. She's been brainwashed by Ethan, who even hired security on their own family. Mark stayed quiet in the group chat, but sent me one private message. You could have at least warned us. We took time off work. Couldn't you have just had a talk with them instead? I stared at that for a long time. I've been having talks with them for 11 years, I finally wrote back. The problem isn't that they don't understand, it's that they don't care.
Mark didn't respond. Ethan read the messages over my shoulder and shook his head. "They're going to paint you the villain no matter what," he said, softly. "Might as well be a villain who protects her kid." Around dinner time, as I was flipping burgers on the small grill, my phone buzzed with a name that surprised me. Leia. "Hey," she said when I answered. "Just heard what happened from Mom. She's stunned. I'm kind of proud of you. Also, are you really at the beach house alone? Because the twins and I can be there in an hour if Milo wants actual cousins who aren't rude." I laughed out loud. "Who is it?" Milo asked. "You're a cool cousin, Leia," I said. "She wants to know if you want company." Milo hesitated, then nodded, a small smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. "Only if they like hard games. I brought my whole deck." "They do," I said. "They like you." Leia showed up just before sunset with her 2 kids, a bag of groceries, and a look on her face that said she'd been arguing with someone all afternoon. "They're saying I betrayed the family by coming here," she said as soon as we hugged. "My mom told me I was choosing sides." "Are you?" I asked. She glanced over at Milo, who was showing her daughter the hammock. "Yeah," she said simply. "I am." We roasted marshmallows on the grill because I hadn't thought to buy skewers. The kids built a lopsided sandcastle by the steps. Milo's laugh came easier and easier as the night went on. At one point, Leia leaned on the railing beside me. "I saw that Facebook thread," she said quietly. "The real cousins thing. I wanted to say something then, but my mom told me to stay out of it. I'm sorry I didn't." "You're here now," I said. "That's what matters." Down on the sand, Milo put one of her intricate shells on top of the sandcastle like a flag. Leia's daughter clapped like it was the coolest thing she'd ever seen. My phone vibrated again on the table behind us. I didn't check it. The fallout kept going after we got home Sunday. Missed calls, voicemails, a long email from my father with words like ungrateful and disrespectful and betrayal. A shorter one from my mother. "You humiliated us. People from church were with us. They saw everything. We told them the gate was broken so you wouldn't look bad. You should be thanking us." Paige wrote a paragraph about how I'd traumatized her kids by changing their plans at the last minute. None of them mentioned Milo. Not once. Not the boat last year, not the comment about real cousins, not the exclusion from the reunion bunks, not the stalking, not the years of small cuts. They talked about money, convenience, face. I realized then it had never really been about family for them. I was a line item in their budget, a resource, a door that stayed open as long as I swallowed things. That door was closed now.